Well, okay, so you mentioned you have these different characters. Obviously, if you're gonna have different characters, they're going to specialize in different things. Um, what is the one that's in the combat alpha specialized in? And if you want to say what the other characters are all about as well.
Do you want to handle this, Jacko, or should I?
Yeah, so I can do a brief overview of it. So the one we've got in the combat alpha at the moment, and the one you've seen at convention builds, is Hotshot.
Mhm.
And so kind of like more of the brash kind of the character that's basically kind of very straightforward and in your face about how they go about life. So it works well for a beginner player, kind of like, okay, I'm just going to go in and hit things.
Mhm.
And so like a lot of their kind of personality traits that you can unlock either revolve around honest or something maybe more like unruly
Mhm.
or angry or those other ones. And then there's kind of like the ability to be like kind of like that like gamer insulting kind of thing. Like people can play into that, and each of those has their own mechanics around it. So that's the pilot that we have available there for the first set of things. And we also have the swarm bots,
Mhm.
which kind of like these little robots that go out, and Leo's got a whole backstory that maybe we can go into later. But effectively, they're running around the city, kind of like collecting pieces of crap and observing things and seeing
Mhm.
what's going on. And so they've got the kind of at the base level the ability to kind of like leap on things and like kind of
Mhm.
defend themselves a bit, but also the ability to kind of summon more friends
Mhm.
in. And so kind
So
of
like
through
the
power of
signal card and
numbers.
things like that.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so through those power of numbers, kind of like beat the enemy through just that,
Mhm.
as well as like kind of melting things down a little bit to kind of help bring them back and using that to fight.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
those are the kind of two base characters there. Um, and we've got some other card art that some other like kind of key art that I think we've shown around the place that has some of the other characters. And I don't know if you want to talk any bit more about them, Leo.
So I guess I'll talk about the robots first. We've got another class of robot
Mhm.
that we're, I guess, codenaming the Observer.
Mhm.
And it's sort of like a personal recording companion robot that also acts as like a overseer of what all the other robots were supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
And the idea is that they can store energy. So every time they get hit, every time they get attacked, they take damage, they store resource, a status resource that they can expend to do
Mhm.
different things in the fights. And they can also record moves, so they can sort of remember the moves that you've played during the combat and recall them up later in the fight.
Okay.
Then the third robot is called the Recycler, and he's supposed to break down other robots, other enemies, and turn them into useful components.
Mhm. Mhm.
This one is more in development and needs a little bit of a review just between us because the branch that we want to take this is that you can break down robots, you can use the scrap and the metal that you gain from the fight to build different cards for that fight, or even revive dead robots to use as your sort of guide and companion to help fight. So there's more like a summoner class.
Okay. Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
a
Uh,
bit of like the necromancer vibe. Yeah.
yeah. And then we've got two other pilots that we've got planned. One is called Keeper. He's sort of more like a dad figure. He's the stoic kind of figure that it takes his time, sort of build up energy, build up reserves, build up statuses to sort of finish everything off in one blow.
Mhm.
He's very much a defensive character, has like thorns and building up. I guess cards that become more powerful, growth cards that become more powerful over each fight that you take.
Yeah.
And
So it's
then
kind of some of a bit of his theme is just to jump in there is like kind of like being a bit of a gardener almost, like really like tendering, like and like that kind of stuff. So
Mhm.
that's where
Mhm.
that kind of the growth theme comes in from. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then a third character is Fluid, and they're more or less, I guess, we still have a very strong attachment to the original gameplay style that we intended the 9x9 grid, the three cards and three cards. So what we hope to have with the Fluid is that we give the players the option to combine cards while they're fighting, so that you can be a very flexible fight depending on what you need. This is
Okay.
most likely going to be the last palette we unlock, so that when players reach Fluid, they sort of have a very good understanding of what what you're doing, and then suddenly this becomes super special.
Mm-hmm.
They're more like an artist. They're sort of someone that doesn't quite know where they fit in. They're sort of finding their place in this weird world that they've woken up into.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you planning to add any additional later on, or are you set on like this is what we're gonna have?
So this is a question of funding and how well the game does.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Just because the way we set up the system, if we add an additional robot or an additional pilot, we suddenly have to make another 4 sets of moves, I guess 3 sets of moves or 4 sets of moves. And the more we add, the harder it gets to actually make more cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does depend on how we do as a product. And I have ideas. I haven't shared them with Jacko yet, but I have ideas.
Yeah. Oh no, and he's got plenty that he has shared with me, but I know there's always more. This man is not short of those. But yeah, no, it's really cool. Like, yeah, we're hoping everybody loves it as much as we do because we really want to keep doing things for it. And even then, yeah, we'll hopefully be having a bunch of other features that kind of like trickle in throughout the course of like post release. I'm going to drop a little sprinkle tease for something I want to do is kind of like really nice mod support and things like that. So looking to kind of take some of the dev tools that we have and put them out there for players to use. The degree to which I can really like kind of justify going and making them really user friendly and like to that nth degree that we can put them out for players is basically going to be somewhat dependent on like where we see community support landing. So yeah, that's the kind of shout out there to everybody. I really want to do it. My little passion project, but yeah, hopefully I can do that.
That's awesome.
And,
hopefully,
like honestly,
yeah, definitely.
Just speaking of that, the way we've done our animations is actually quite flexible in the fact that if I need to add more animations to a robot, it isn't just I need to redraw everything, but I've used sort of like a puppet system. So we've got very 2D models that I can add more animations quite quickly if necessary. So if the game gets popular and specific enemy drones sort of become favorites, people go in and add their own little bits and pieces and jig, I guess, animations to suit what they need. And that would be very basic and the first step for adding more content in.